Joining me now is Stuart Bocking, the CEO of Coal Australia, a not-for-profit organisation dedicated to promoting the benefits of coal. Great to see you, my old friend Stuart. Explain, if you can, why is Canberra happy to export coal all around the world to places like Japan and other countries like India, but demonise it at home? Why does that happen?
Great to see you, Steve. Thank you very much, and nice to catch up again. It is interesting. Obviously, not all of Canberra is particularly happy. I noticed Chris Bowen, Matt Keane and others not particularly keen to engage on the issue of coal. But the reality is two of the largest customers Australia has for export thermal coal are Japan and South Korea. Hardly backward nations, first world nations with dynamic economies, but wedded to thermal coal and yet signatories to net zero. And to your earlier point, we have an abundance of gas, coal and uranium, and yet it seems passing strange that we would happily sell those to other countries, but somehow have concerns about using it here. You look recently at the Queensland LNP government's decision around their energy roadmap. What have they said? Again, they've signed up to net zero by 2050, but they're going to use more coal for longer as part of energy generation. And as we sit here tonight, the national electricity market, the NEM, more than 60% of power being fed into the NEM is generated by coal. So we're kidding ourselves to pretend that coal doesn't continue to play an important part both in our domestic energy mix and, importantly, as a massive driver of export earnings.
Stu, the Nats have at least done some homework on this, unlike federal Labor and the Libs don't seem to do a lot of work either. This idea, the report that they released saying that new coal technology could be built, new coal technology, coal-fired plants, do they exist? Are they able to be built?
There are ultra-critical, ultra-supercritical designs that obviously use water at very, very high temperatures, that work, that generate much lower emissions. And importantly, we had some modelling done earlier this year, separate to the Page Research Centre, also done by Arche Energy, but unrelated to the most recent report that was released. That was done as part of the Gen Cost review, because we were very concerned that coal was, in some respects, willfully, mistakenly, whatever term you want to use, being priced out of the equation when clearly, when the final report came down, it showed it was highly competitive as opposed to renewables. And yet we're fed the line, oh, well, the wind doesn't send an invoice, the sun doesn't send an invoice. One of the realities in Australia is when it comes to our role in Southeast Asia, we are never going to be able to compete on labour rates. We understand that. We've got a certain standard of living which we enjoy. But when it comes to energy abundance, when it comes to energy pricing, and because of that, the abundance of coal, that is an area that we should be able to trade on as a competitive advantage. And yet what we are seeing is a chipping away of our industrial base to the point where companies like the Tomago aluminium smelter are seriously considering whether they can continue to operate or not. Places in China, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, some of our key trading partners for coal, they must be giggling, thinking, what is going on there? Because they know that thermal coal from Australia is among the best quality coal in the world, the most sustainable, the cleanest, the lowest emission burning coal, and yet they're happy to buy it from us, and yet locally we see pejorative terms like ageing coal-fired power stations or coal outages are contributing to your power bills, all deliberately loaded language to make out as if suddenly coal has had its use-by date, when that is far from the case. Have a look at global consumption of coal last year. It was 8.8 billion tonnes around the world, the highest ever on record, and likely to exceed 9 billion tonnes this year.
So, Stuart, that brings us to the nub of the question and the point that I just don't understand. So when the industry talks to federal ministers and, given Labor's thumping victory this year and in the election, we're going to deal with a Labor government for at least 2 terms. And the industry says, listen, our coal's good quality coal. We're exporting a lot of it. To shut it down and not use it at home is going to make no difference whatsoever on the global climate. Shouldn't it be part of our mix given the riches we have in coal, gas and uranium? What do they say when the industry puts that to them?
Well, they like to sort of conveniently point to the fact, oh yes, well, we've still got coal in the mix, which we do, and the majority of electricity being generated in that mix is still being generated from coal. The reality is here that you look at the Queensland model where they've got relatively younger coal-fired power stations, and they've made it very clear that we will continue to burn coal for longer and more coal while we can. Equally, have a look in Victoria. They've come to a realisation that a coal-fired power plant has had to have its lifespan extended. Have a look at Eraring in New South Wales, which as it stands today is generating 20% of the energy output in New South Wales. Again, that's had to be extended. And we hear so much talk about, oh, these coal-fired power stations at the end of their technical lifespan. What is the technical lifespan for a piece of machinery or equipment? You and I will see plenty of vintage cars and older model vehicles, planes, you name it, still getting around the place because they have been properly maintained. They haven't fallen for a political narrative that is trying to pretend that somehow coal is in the rearview mirror when coal is very much in front of us and down the track.
Stuart, always great to catch up with you, my friend. Thank you very much. We'll talk again soon. Stuart Bocking there.